Alright, here's how the headlights illuminated before, and this is how they illuminate after the LED installation.
So back in 2019, Elon Musk tweeted about Tesla winning the Best Headlight Awards, in that they were just like so bright, they basically like vaporized your eye sockets. And it seems like it's continuing the trend because now the Cybertruck has also been vaporizing people's eye sockets, people feeling like they're in Oppenheimer watching the first nuclear bomb launch or something. And I definitely relate to that in terms of it's not just an American issue. Where the Cybertruck is actually legal seems to be across like the whole world. Driving has become a nightmare at night because of car headlights. Now this might seem like a weird video for me to make, and I think it's an interesting one for me to make because it plays into so much in terms of what I cover: neoliberalism, capitalism, lack of regulation, government just not caring about making life better for people. And I know it might seem small, you know, car headlights, but there's so many different solutions to it, be it regulation, be it like not designing a whole country to revolve around a car like the United States. It just feels like it's an issue that gets constantly ignored. And I was actually looking in the UK, is this something people even talk about in terms of the political like establishment? It's like, no. There's a couple polls and surveys which maybe a lord or something will comment on, but there's nothing being done. So what's going to happen consistently is driving will become even more stressful and unpleasant, and there will be more accidents. And the problem with this, if you look into actual statistics of accidents caused by headlights, it seems like it's not a problem. But of course, if you've ever been in a car accident and dealt with insurance, you know why this probably hasn't been registered. Because if I'm in a car accident, which someone says is my fault, and I blame car headlights on the other car, that's going to be a hard thing to really prove and a hard thing for them to take seriously. Therefore, they'll probably blame me for the accident if I do that, right? For some of this video, I am going to say if you have like epilepsy or you're super sensitive to bright lights, I know I am. There are going to be some videos in this that might be quite triggering, just to keep in mind if you are someone like that. I promise I will warn you before it comes up, but please be watching carefully if you are someone who does suffer from a condition like that. But just wanted to talk about one little case just to frame this whole issue, because we're going to be talking about my experience and we're going to be talking about the US. But a report last year, 2023, blinded by the light, cars in the US still lack glare-reducing headlights. So one night in early November, Aaron Madrid was driving home from his job at a haunted house outside Chicago when he faced an unexpected horror. The lights from an oncoming pickup truck hit him dead in the eyes, blinding him. I was completely disoriented and couldn't see for 5 to 10 seconds, the 22-year-old said. I didn't realise I had swerved into the oncoming traffic lane. By the time I regained my eyesight, I had already hit the curb, and then I hit a tree. Madrid's Chevy Sonic was totaled, but he was lucky, stumbling out of the vehicle without a major injury. Just some bruising where the airbags hit his thighs. It was traumatic. I didn't know what happened to me till my car had stopped. Greg Brannon, AAA's Director of Automotive Engineering and Industry Relations, said the United States is decades behind the rest of the developed world with respect to updating standards to keep up with technologies, particularly in the headlight area. The standards have not been updated since the 1970s while the technology has marched on. And the main technology they're talking about is this. In the past 2 decades, vehicle headlights have shifted from primarily warm yellowish halogen to cool bluish LED, which human eyes are more sensitive to. New vehicles are increasingly taller, making oncoming headlights more likely to be eye level for drivers in small cars, and few states annually check for headlight misalignment, which can lift light into the oncoming driver's eyes. So yeah, you're not imagining things. Car headlights are getting brighter, and I know like SUVs and cars like the Cybertruck are more popular in America, which are bigger, which means it's shining directly into your eyes, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this video have had that very unpleasant experience when you can't even make out what car is driving towards you. For someone in the UK, and maybe if you drive around like European countries, this is even more dangerous because our roads aren't designed like the US. Like, you're going to be driving through very narrow streets often. I know I do. With cars parked on either side, you're going to have to wait behind parked cars. You're going to have to often drive very close to oncoming traffic. So when you're driving in a very narrow road, even though there's 2 lanes, and a bus is coming towards you, but you can't make out it's a bus because of the headlights, we definitely have a problem. And again, no one is talking about this. And with America, it's more dystopian because, like I said, it's all designed around the car. I want to talk about neoliberalism in terms of car culture as well. And I just feel like, what is the solution? It feels like something that no one really talks about beyond like car enthusiasts. But most of the car enthusiasts YouTube channels I was watching today, they're telling people how to like replace the halogen lights with LED, but the videos aren't really going through how to align them properly. And what happens with most people, I guess, they buy a new Tesla car, they don't even change the settings at all, and they don't change the alignment. And I know when I first got my granddad's car, ages ago, which I still drive, my dad actually showed me how to do this, and he turned them down for me because, you know, I guess he's a considerate driver. And that's another part with driving. People don't care because they're inconsiderate. Driving often epitomizes selfish neoliberalism the best out of anything. But we're going to talk about all of this today. Also, follow me on social media, check out my Instagram, check out my Twitter, check out my travel Instagram, which I've been enjoying posting on lately. And if you want to support my work, please check out my Patreon, and one of the benefits is getting access to the Discord server. This is a political channel, so let's talk about some political theory in terms of driving. So I grew up in London, so I've been using public transport my whole life, bus to school from a young age, probably like 11 or 12, trains up London for work, trains just up London for fun. I have owned a car since I was 18. I've had 2 cars. And what I primarily use it for is like driving to football training, which I'm going to show you a bit of later because I recorded myself doing it today because I wanted to show you what like my experience is just on like a random night at like 9:15, which is late. And you don't see as many headlights, but it's still present. I'm not someone who is like anti-car completely, but it would be nice if public transport was generally better. Like, I live in London, and today, for example, if I didn't have a car, I wouldn't go football training because it's like 25-minute drive away. If I got the bus, I don't even know how long it would take. It would take so long. Like, I could feasibly take the bus or the train, but it just makes it basically not worth going because of how much of my evening it would take up. But I would happily do that if it was a possibility. But yeah, even in places like London, which are known for having good public transport, it's hard to do because I don't live in central London, I live in Greater London. And I've used my car to drive around like the Scottish Highlands, drive around parts of England, so I do enjoy driving when it's nice, but driving is also very, very stressful, and I didn't realise until later I actually have OCD, which makes it even more stressful. And also I started having neurological issues because of undiagnosed OCD and stress. And one of the times I had a really bad episode triggered was by a car headlight. And because of that, now I have really bad OCD about it being triggered again by car headlights. So that makes driving generally like not enjoyable to me, although I am like a very good driver, and I think having OCD and a lot of empathy helps because I don't needlessly get aggressive while driving because I know it doesn't help anyone. But on that note, as someone who's been driving for 10 years now and has driven a lot in this country, empathy is not something drivers normally have. Because like I said, I think driving fundamentally, it often is a symptom of neoliberalism because it's all about status, wealth with the cars you buy, the mindless consumption of new cars, something that depreciates in value the minute you basically buy it, unless you're buying something that might become a classic one day. And in that, people are just so obsessed with portraying a certain image with this material thing. And also, because of this, people often just drive how they want and they have no consideration for anyone else, how the passengers are feeling and how the general public feel about their driving. And we've all just seen like horrendous driving. Like, I remember the other night, just driving back from my girlfriend's, I'm on a mini roundabout, some guy speeds towards me, cuts into the oncoming traffic lane and cuts the roundabout, nearly crashes into me. And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? If he wasn't drunk or something, then what is wrong with this guy? It's just complete selfishness to go as fast as possible. In America, you have this to a more extreme degree, in that a car has always been advertised as freedom, and you do get that to an extent, but is it really neoliberal freedom when you have to get a car? Like, it's not a choice like with me, where I can actually choose public transport if I want. If you have to get a car like everyone else because your whole country outside of like major cities is designed just for car culture, then you're not free. And it's not a choice, but you're sold it as you are free. You have a car, you can go where you want, you can go wherever you want in the country, and you can choose what car you want, you can buy what car you want, you can customize it. Isn't that great? But no, like if you need it, you become a slave to your car because you have to use your car to commute, you have to use your car to see your friends and family, you have to use your car for absolutely everything. It's impossible to not have a car. And combined with that, all the pollution done by cars, bikes around the world, again, it's just like the perfect encapsulation of neoliberal consumer capitalism, in my opinion. And yes, I agree, they have their utility. I like driving when I'm driving somewhere nice. I like exploring the UK, but it was also nice, I never had to rely on a car growing up as a young person. Like, I guess for a lot of Americans, if you grow up in rural places, you probably couldn't even imagine, like, growing up in London like I did. We had these things called an Oyster card. It means you got free buses. You could take the bus as much as you want and you never had to pay because you had this free thing from the ages of like 12 to 18, right? And as a kid, that was so great. You could just literally just go where you want, whenever you wanted. If I wanted to visit a friend who was close by, get the bus. If I wanted to go somewhere very far away, get the bus. That was great growing up. And it showed me a vision of the future where we don't like need to rely on cars as much. But again, because of the capture of politics by the automobile lobby and the car lobby, is that going to happen? No. And are we even going to get headlight changes? No. And let's get onto this, because this is one of my favourite subreddits I've seen in a while. And this is how the Cybertruck factors in. So the Cybertruck is an absolute ugly monster. Probably will never be legal in Europe because of the size, because of, the corners. It just looks so dangerous. And it's been having a tough time recently with its PR. And like I said, Elon was tweeting about the Teslas. But on a subreddit called Fuck Your Headlights, which I absolutely love, Cybertruck headlights, and here's a couple of pictures of them, absolutely crazy. Like, these are LED headlights, which will be directly in your vision. Not only does it have a full, line across the hood, it has one on the roof, and it has two more at the bottom. Even if you don't have epilepsy, because you're probably going to get it from looking at this, how excited is everyone to get blinded on the road by the Cybertruck headlights? It might even come with an optional LED roof light bar too, just in case the first LED light bar wasn't blinding enough. And then someone in the comments said, in the Throttle House review of this vehicle, they specifically mentioned the headlights were not angled properly. How many Tesla owners and Cybertruck owners do you think are going to go through the trouble of messing around with these settings or just thinking how great their new toy is? Again, if you have some sort of condition triggered by lights, don't watch this next bit. Here's a video of all the nice things you can do with your Cybertruck. Again, warning, if you're sensitive to light, please don't watch this. We actually live in hell, don't we? The Cybertruck, which can go insanely fast, really heavy, really dangerous, seems like it would severely injure anyone it hurt. It would crush basically any other car it came into contact with. It can also blind you as well. It can also blind you. Thank you, Elon, for this absolute monstrosity. Thankfully, we probably won't see it in Europe. But this is something, like I said, Elon has been bragging about. Like, the car headlights are so insanely bright. So on this subreddit, if you just type in Tesla, it comes up all the time. So here's one for you. You can't even see it. Porsche SUV with LED headlights on the left, Tesla on the right. See the difference? These Teslas are aimed so horribly from the factory. It's an abomination. So again, it's about the direction and the power. Tesla has both, and it's not angled properly, so you just get blinded, and most people never touch them. And lots of comments are saying, basically their experience of Teslas is always being blinded by them. Here's another screenshot of Tesla, like you can't even make out what you're seeing. Someone saying, Tesla owner here, the headlights from factory aren't properly leveled. And with it, I had a tech recalibrate my headlight, but they actually made the problem worse. I ended up leveling my own headlight, which fixed the problem. But after a software update, the headlights were back to square one. So again, even more reason not to allow this sort of thing being normalized with cars. Updates, just reset your car. So even if you go through the trouble, like this guy did, of actually sorting out your headlights so they don't blind everyone around you, Elon just sends out an update and it's back to square one. And how many people will even realize? How many of you have actually checked your headlights before, right? And then imagine if you actually do that and you fix it, and then unknowingly the software resets your lights. Tell me you're a Tesla, and again, can't even see what's going on here. Apparently with Teslas as well, even the brake lights are like absolutely blinding, and I saw that on the Cybertruck as well. Other people saying like the worst offenders are Tesla cars. There's just some more posts on the subreddit, and this one was insane. Is this LED headlights or an explosion? That looks like that Angel episode of The Simpsons with Mr. Burns like bringing love. So obviously on that subreddit you see the worst of it, but it's pretty clear Tesla is one of the worst offenders for the reasons outlined, but it's not alone. It's pretty much every like modern car, especially SUVs. And like I said, depending on certain environments, it's just so insanely dangerous because you can't judge what's coming towards you. I've had buses blind me and trucks blind me, and then I realise that it's coming past. Oh, it's actually an absolutely massive truck, and I couldn't see that, and the road is so narrow. I'm like, if I wasn't careful, I could like drive straight into that. And again, with someone with OCD and neurological issues, I'm sure people have their own problems. It's just so hard. Now, I want to show you a little bit of me driving today, and I drove to football, took about 25 minutes, quite late, between 8:15 and 9, so I didn't see the worst of it, but I was still just like commenting on what I saw, and I'll show you what I kind of wear to negate the lights. I wear like tinted lenses, sometimes wear a baseball cap to keep all the streaks out, and I never used to get those streaks as bad before I had neurological issues, and this is all just pretty much for profit, isn't it? LEDs are cheaper to run, therefore, now they are everywhere, and just like fuck all of you, basically. Who cares if it triggers any problems with your health, or it's just terrible to look at and causes accidents? We don't care. We're gonna save some money. I'm gonna go away, which normally doesn't have as many bright lights, but I just wanna show you my reaction because probably explained everything in the video already. Got my hat to kind of keep the street light beams off. Got my nice tinted lenses, which have not been as good lately, so we'll see how that works out. So yeah, I'm just gonna record the whole journey. It should take me about 25 minutes. So just a police car going past, but something I hate right now, and I've seen this post a lot, there's a guy behind me who has extremely bright lights on, and I can't see anything out of my rear view, right? And my lights, I keep them quite low, so I just tested right now if they're even on, because I was wondering, are they actually on? They are. But yeah, right now, in both my rear view and my side mirror, I just see massive streaks of light and I can't see anything out of it. It probably doesn't come across well on the video. My camera's not great in like low light anyway. But yeah, like the amount of times I've been driving like this and I've pulled over to let someone overtake me just because they've been sticking this full beam in my eye the whole time is like, it's just so much, because as I probably explained in the video, it's just very, very irritating as well to someone with neurological issues. So I'm just pulling up to the last turning. One thing I'm just noticing now, so it's quite dark where I am. So I got the street lights, this traffic lights, got a bunch of cars over there with really bright headlights, and when you're someone who has like poor vision at night, it's just all you see is just streaks of light. It's just, you know, it's something that really needs to be addressed with the bulbs, because at some point, like if I'm a car, like I just saw a bike coming towards me on the other side of the road, I'm thinking, who the fuck is going to risk that with their lives, in terms of people can barely see at night, and now you're adding that to the equation. And a nice one, just as we're pulling in, got a car with insane beams in front of me, so pulling in now. So yeah, if I'm being honest, it was one of the more pleasant drives I've had at night recently, and thankfully, because of my schedule, the only times I'm really driving at night is when I go to football training or a football match. That's twice a week, or when I maybe drive over to see my girlfriend at night. The most annoying times I found during winter are like, 4 to 7 when it's very, very busy. It's just very, very irritating for someone like me with, like I said, neurological problems and my history with car headlights in that regard. Now, what is being done about this? What is being done? Nothing. Like I said, the US is behind on regulation. I was reading about it today, and although there's lots of people who've talked about this, they've talked about like new headlights, new federal rules which are supposed to prevent ever brighter car headlights from blinding drivers, talking about stuff like smarter beam shifting headlights that are on the way, but there's really not much progress on that. There's no mandates to do this. I was even reading about like, in terms of people selling cars or mechanics, like do they have to check your headlights? And in like most states, like They don't. Like, they never have to check these things. So they can just sell you the car, they can just fix your car, do your MOT or whatever, and they don't have to check it. So there you go. That's why all your car headlights are blinding. And like, I was looking into this because I've been talking about America a lot. I was looking into this in the UK, and we had like a survey by the RAC, which polled lots of drivers with 89% that think at least some headlights on cars are way too bright, and 3 in 10 think most are. Of all these drivers who complain about the brightness of car headlights, some 91% say they get dazzled when driving, with 3/4 saying this happens regularly. So it's like loads and loads of people. But I'm going through like the article and I'm trying to find like, do any politicians care? They don't. Like, no one cares. And listen, I get maybe in European countries why it's not as big an issue as America, because we have better public transport. Like, generally, car culture isn't as big. It can be pretty easy to travel around certain parts of the EU without relying on these cars. And like people have been saying, there's better regulation. But in America, you think it'd be a bigger issue. In a country where so many people rely on their cars, where it's so much easier to get your license as well, let's not forget. You can drive way younger than Europe. Like, I've seen comparisons with the UK and US driving tests, and it's actually insane how much easier the US one is. And then you can have like 16-year-olds potentially buying massive cars like the Cybertruck, which are even more blinding and dangerous. And all of that is just like a recipe for disaster. But I guess in America, like, just nothing gets better. And even in the UK, recently with like the whole 15-minute cities conspiracy stuff, the Tory government are coming down on the side of like road users. We had something called ULEZ, which is about trying to get rid of older cars in London, which pollute more. And now the Tories are like using that as a campaign issue because nothing gets better. Nothing gets better. We just have to be cucked to our cars forever while they pollute the environment and cause like thousands of deaths around the world every single year. So what is the real answer to this? Like, what is the real answer? And I guess, you know, in terms of capitalism's capture over Western politics, you're probably not going to get any proper regulation about banning LED lights. Although I think that should be a thing. Like, even if it costs more to have halogen lights, if it's just better for everyone, then that's just something you're going to have to pay. But of course, because it costs less to have LED lights, they're going to continue to take over, because who doesn't want to save a bit of money, even if it causes crashes? So I guess the main thing is you just got to push for better public transportation. But I'm so black-pilled about everything, because in the UK as well, our public transportation is under attack by the Tory government, getting privatised across the country as well. So even that is going to shit, while the cars get worse and the experience is worse, while public transport across the country, like if I want to go from London to another city, is absolutely extortionate. So I'm like, what is even the solution? We're just going to have to take it, like with everything now, because this is literally like probably so low down on the priorities. I need to make a new term for like car normalization, like capitalist realism, car realism, I don't know, something like that, because I don't think we're going to get rid of our dependence on cars anytime soon, especially as other parts of the world obviously develop their own road systems, more people get fancy cars. Like even in Cambodia, where I stayed for 2 months, like the amount of like really nice cars driving around there is pretty insane to see as well. Just, you know, in terms of a historically poor country, which has recently only created like massive roads between places like Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. And if us in the West, who have more wealth and more development and more public transport, if we don't wean ourselves off cars, cars are just going to be around forever and we'll never get rid of our reliance on them. And we'll keep getting monstrosities like the Cybertruck forever. So just like a different one today. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me your worst experiences with car headlights. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.